All right. Hey, let's see if we're up and running. Give me a second here to check my signal. If we're live, we'll be able to get up kicking here. Um, checking. Spelljammer art. All right. Looks like we have a signal. So I'm going to drop down the sound here. Seems like we're coming through there. Okay. I'm going to grab the link to this to post on social media. I'm on the X Twitter platform at Phil Kearney. So if you're out there on the X platform, you can catch me at Phil Kearney. So I guess, hey, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, I publish online, and I have been focusing attention on Dungeons & Dragons Spelljammer Adventures in Space since its release in August 2022. I initially picked up the original box set back in 1990. So, hey, Dennis, it's good to see you. So, I think, so I've loved Spelljammer forever. And so I was thrilled to see that it was coming to 5th edition in August 2022. I think there was a lot of assumption about what was going to be in those rules, because like we got naval ship rules in Saltmarsh, we got land vehicle rules in Descent into Avernus. So I think folks were kind of expecting this to be when we got aerial combat rules, and we really just didn't. It was just like use Saltmarsh but put them in the sky instead of the water, and that didn't really satisfy anybody's itch, it seems. So I created some stuff. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon to get notifications when I'm live in the future while we're at it here. But let's see. Here's the book that we created. The red box. That's the first box that I got. I got the red box as well as the Unearthed Arcana for first edition, and then some random adventures. So like the Lost City, and what was the other one? Keep on the Borderlands. Those were the two adventures that I got, and then a ton of lead miniatures. So yeah, like Spelljammer Combat and Exploration. We built this document after Spelljammer was released by Wizards of the Coast in August 2022. And basically, it converts ship combat. It takes like the scale of combat, like a 5-foot scale, which you would expect for normal figurines, and then a 50-foot scale for dogfighting, and then 500-foot scale for long-range combat, and implemented all of the rules from PH, the Player's Handbook, and the DMG for combat, adventuring, and spellcasting, and basically rebuilt them so that they would work at the 50, 500, as well as 5-foot scale. So it would have a smooth scaling process to be able to deal with size, using ships basically as single creatures that multiple characters can use all their action economy from a normal 5e round of combat to work together with their actions, bonus actions, reactions, attacks, object interactions. All these work together to make a ship go. So you have the 5-foot, so you can see here, you have the 5-foot scale with troops. Well, maybe if we do it this way. Here's at the 500-foot scale, we see two fleets attacking each other. And then if we zoom in, we see two adjacent squares in the battle. Here at the 500-foot scale, if we zoom in to the 50-foot scale, that's two 10 by 10 squares. So you can see that multiple ships can sit inside of each square to scrim with each other. And here we see small fighter craft that fit within 50-foot squares able to maneuver through these spaces to then be able to drop down into the 5-foot space to actually like distribute troops onto the decks of ships. So you can have both 5-foot, 50-foot, and 500-foot scale operating at the same time in your battle using these mechanics just by parsing out like literal grid space in your maps to be able to depict each area. And we provide all the rules and mechanics inside of here, like grappling, disengaging, opportunity attacks, range, all that stuff. It all works together. And then the ship rules we have here is for the pilot, a siege commander that oversees crews of siege weapons, squadron commanders that can oversee multiple ships operating at the same time, kind of like a summoning spell would, and then support, which is characters that are giving up their action economy to give advantage and other boons to other people's action economy during the course of the game. And you make attacks, multiple attacks, all the action economy that you would use on your normal character. You can mix and match at the 5-foot scale, 50-foot scale, 500-foot scale. Your individual character taking actions like casting spells, stabbing somebody in the throat, or commanding a squadron of fighter ships to attack a target, or to have that ballista fire at that ship, or move the ship forward 1,500 feet and dodge to the left. Like, these are all things that a character can do during their turn, mixing their action economy together. Hey, what's up? Didn't Polyregion have a story series about Spelljammer in the magazine? I remember one of them. It was in third. It was a third edition. What was it? The Moon of the Spider Queen, I think. It was about basically Drow in space, which is awesome. It's been a long time since I've seen that, but it had some light mechanics for Spelljammer ships, and from a D20 perspective. So that would have been it feels like maybe like 20 some odd, 30 pages maybe. I have to go revisit that. Yeah, it was Polyhedron magazine. That was when it took over D&D stuff, I believe. But so that's the book, and so ships can be up to 500 feet in size. So if you're familiar with Light of Zaraxis, here, right. From Light of Zaraxis, this is Vocath's base. And if you look at the actual maps that are in the adventure, the base sits inside of a 500-foot space. One spelljamming helm can empower up to 500 feet worth of ship. So you could have a single spelljamming helm move Vocath's base if you wanted to. So if you wanted to move, instead of it being a clumsy crystal disc-shaped arena thing flying through space with a tower off to the side, we are reimagining it as an actual battle station, like as an actual ship. All the crystals and stuff that are underneath it here unfold. So like these become the legs, and there's claws in here, and all of this structure is all the mechanical support for these limbs. And once it's unfurled, it's capable of engaging in melee combat and attacking things. And of course, it's 500 feet in size, so it can tank a lot of damage for any ships that it's riding with. So that's the idea, and so we're going to go back in here and continue working on, let's get rid of the shadow and the background, lower layer, and then the interior top. This is where we're at right now. So we're reformatting the tower to be a personal landing pad, and so damselflies are capable of land speeds up to 50 feet of movement while scuttling along the ground, and can squeeze into roughly a 30-foot space. So we can have these, instead of this being a tower with windows that otherwise doesn't seem to be used in the actual map in Light of Zaraxis, we're instead converting this space into a 50-foot high, basically nest or a roost for the Devil's Deal, Vocath's damselfly, to land. And then from previous episodes, we know that this is a railing that leads down into Vocath's private quarters here, and then out here down this ramp leads to the throne room, and then you can take this ramp up here down around to the servant quarters down here, which also have outlet exits onto the guest floor of the arena. So you can cook in the kitchen here, snacks like pretzels and beer and stuff to distribute to the audience that's viewing the arena battle that's taking place, which is the topmost layer in the underside. Like, this is a medium space. Like, this is all empty cargo space because it's at the line of zero gravity. So the arena floor sits right above the zero gravity line. But this storage space here actually is just an open space along the gravity plane, so that all the cargo that's basically secured at this level is basically free floating. It just kind of bobs between gravity planes, and as long as you lash it into place, it'll stay put. Also happens to be large enough for you to stow another ship into if you need to. And then descending down the hill, we have this is the interior space as well, with more cargo space. This is the layer that we're going to have to clean up with the interior bibs and bobs, but this is where the medium-sized servants and crew of the ship live and spend like most of their downtime away from Vocath. Another layer down towards the bottom of the ship, facing upward, of course, is the reverse gravity plane. This is a conveyor belt that feeds in asteroids that get destroyed to become trebuchet ammunition that you can hold in storage here, as well as this is engineering part storage for all the equipment and large scale gear that's here. Go up these doors. There's stairs that go up to the battle deck. These stairs go down back into here, into the servant quarters. So you go out your servant quarters, you go up these stairs. They lead you up to the top deck here. A craft can land here and unload their cargo. So this cargo crane will take anything that's left off here and it'll be able to drop it down this cargo bay, which again opens up into the interior here. This is another cargo bay that can be closed or opened. If it's closed, cargo can be dropped here to then be pushed over the edge into this float space. Or if this is open, it can drop down further, again, through this drop space to the top deck that we were looking at here. That ends up at the servants level here, so you can take storage materials directly from the storage deck, drop it through, let it free fall through, and then ends up bobbing in gravity and landing at the servants layer. And then the final top layer here, as you go up the stairs, is another loading crab, loading claw, and more loading claws. These are all trebuchet. There's 10 of them. Is there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 trebuchet that are all animated with enchantment to be self-crewed and fire on their own under command from whoever's in Spelljamming helm. These claws can reach into the interior of this cargo bay, again, to extract the rocks that are crushed up and deposited into the area so that they can be loaded into trebuchets around in an automated. You can have living creatures come in and integrate into this process, but if left on its own, it can be commanded as a siege command role from the helm up top. You'll be able to still command this. So basically, the underbelly of the ship has a cluster of trebuchet that can fire at targets from underneath while it still has its massive claws and its stabby legs on the top deck. Plus, it has the mirror of trapped souls can be projected through this massive sized lens to become a force damage weapon that can hit targets up to a mile away, basically like a supersized lightning bolt, essentially. So that's all the bits that we got going on here, and just as a quick tour. And once we finish furnishing all of that, we'll colorize, and then that'll be a map product that we'll put on DMsGuild to bundle with the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration thing that we have out already. And we'll be, once the ship is built, we already have the enemy forces. We have the allies grouped into different teams. The Sauron Wasp and the Artuk Lamprey, the Aarakocra Shrike, along with Devil's Deal, Vocath's personal ship, the Thrycreen Scorpion, along with the Hadozi Galleon, and then here we have the last Breath, the pirate ship, as well as the Second Wind, the ship that the team is aboard when they visit Doomspace and meet up with all these people. So there's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ships plus Vocath's crab, and that is going to be against a squadron of 12. These are Star Moths under the command of Prince Zealous Elven Armada. And there's the adventure in Light of Xeraxis indicates that there's 12 Star Moths that arrive. So you can put each of these occupy a 4x4 space. So like we were seeing here, allies were basically broken up into groups of 8 to 10. Like 1, 2, 3x3, that's a 3x3 space. And this is a 1, 2, 3, that's a 3x3 space. So between the two of them, that is... that's a total of 6, a scale of 6 squares worth of troops, and they would roll between those 6. They would have 4 dice worth of damage that they roll, like it'd be d6 times 10, so it'd be each attack that this squadron would make would be 4d6 times 10 damage. So anywhere from 40 to 120 points of damage every time these two ships fire together. These occupy 5 squares worth of space, this 2x2 and this 3x3. 2x2 and 3x3 together, 5x5, they can have a total of 3 squares of 3D. Like if we're using D6s, first rank is D4, second rank of proficiency is D6, D8, D10, D12. So most of these squadrons are second rank, so they're rolling D6s on their damage dice. So these would be doing 3d6, these would be doing 3d6, these would be doing 3d6, and these do 4d6 damage. So there's 10, 21 plus Vocath Crab is 31 squares worth of ship. And this we break this all down, how to build squadrons and calculate damage and stuff in the combat and exploration chapter. But there's between Vocath Crab being a 10 by 10 space, this being a total of 5 squares, 5, 10, yeah, 31 squares, versus the Star Maws. Each of these is 4 by 4, and this is a 4 by 4, so that's a total of 8. So this would end up being 5d6 damage each. And then there's one here, and there's another here, so there's 12 of them total, so there's 6. There's 48 squares worth of Star Moth that are attacking your fleet, and your fleet has a total of 31 squares. So the Star Moths actually have greater number, like have more mass in the fleet battle than the characters do. You're 31 versus their 48 squares worth of ship. They actually have more damage capability, and overall could actually take more damage as a fleet compared to yours. But the win condition is to kill at least half of, if you can destroy half of the Star Moths before they destroy your fleet. So instead of it being 48 to 31, your 31 squares with a fleet only need to defeat 24 squares worth of Star Moths before their morale breaks and they retreat, figuring it's not worth dying to be there. Because they're just looking for information, and they end up picking a fight. And so the players, with the help of the allies, punch back at the elves, and so once the elves get fight back against enough, the bully loses interest. And so all you gotta do is knock out roughly 6 ships before, you need to destroy six of their 12 ships, and you've got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and you've got 9 ships total. But granted, the crab is massive, so it can absorb a ton of damage for everybody. But so the odds are in favor of your team surviving the battle. The real crux of it is that you're here trying to form a fleet of people willing to help you go fight the elves. So this gives you a chance to prove that you can defeat the elves in battle, to impress everyone here that you're the person for the job, that your team can do it, so they should follow you. So if you get into this combat, it's optional. So if you take this combat scenario, any allies that fight with you here, and in this case it's all of them, anyone whose ship isn't destroyed during this battle, my timer's going off. Any faction that doesn't lose a ship during this battle automatically jumps on board to help you. Anyone that's lost a ship, you now have to do the favors that are requested inside of Light of Zaraxis to win them back to the table. You got to replace their ship, and you have to help them with whatever it is that they're looking for, their little mini quest or prize, to win them to be on board your team. So this provides another means that, like, if you're so good with your combat that you don't lose any ships, everyone automatically is willing to help you, because obviously winners win, and they want to be on your side. If they lose a ship, they can be influenced to do so, but you owe them, and you have to pay them back for it. So if you can pay them up front and get everything that they want, yeah, they're on board with you. So it just leans further into what Light of Zaraxis already wants you to do, which is to help these allies get on board with you by doing them favors. That still exists, except now the stakes are higher, and it's on the back end of a fleet combat scenario. So I've apparently rambled enough. My alarm clock wants me to get to work, so I'm going to get to work. So originally I was thinking about having this thing unfurl and open up like a fan, but then I realized that these don't have to be closed windows. They can just be open space, and these are just support pillars. And since the damselfly can squeeze into a space that's only 30 feet wide, it can land on the side of the tower and then just like a locust just crawl up into its base, and I don't have to do anything fancy with the roof, so I can just make that. It's open. This would be an open space on which needs to have a security put in place for the entrance ramp leading down. That shouldn't just be an open space that anyone can just fly up to, walk into, and then go attack Vocath. Need to have that secured. So we'll secure that. But that's the premise that we're working with here. So I can get rid of that. I can get rid of that. I'm contemplating my next move. I feel like this entire thing needs to be rotated a tick. There, much better. And let's see, we go to here. They say the heart of rock and roll is still beaten, but from what I've seen, I believe them. Looks like we got this all sussed out. Yeah, so we're going to start the thrilling task of putting in tiles, roofing tiles. I don't need that anymore. I don't need any of that anymore. I'm going to just leave that like that. But where is my trash? Trash layer. Let's try that again. I'm just going to manually fill in all of these tiles here. So hold my beer. It's gonna. There's a lot of tiles here. So luckily we have some basic rules for doing this. Basically like 3 by 3, anywhere from 2 to 4 tiles, typically 3 or 4, that we're sort of interlacing with each other. It's just a texture that we're playing with here, so it's nothing too hardcore. I want a little bit of a gap at the bottom of each of these. Cooking. We're cooking. So if you check back maybe like 20 episodes, I was designing an asteroid belt mining operation campaign for my team in the Eberron campaign that I run. Basically, we run from level 1 to 20, and then we start over a new campaign. And it's either Planescape or Eberron, because I blend Eberron with I blend Eberron with Planescape. I put that on the wrong layer, so let's undo all that real quick. Good. I'm gonna put a lock here and a lock here to keep myself a futza with them. So now that I'm just drawing tiles, I can just brain dump and just ramble on about whatever it is I want to ramble on about, probably for the following hour. It won't take an hour for me to build out these tile sets, but yeah, let's go. I built out basically I built a new game that's based off of 5th edition ability checks. Basically, it's like a blend between Beckme and Cypher system, in that it's just it's ability checks. Hold on. Oh, interesting. I don't have to have these separated, do I? 1, 2. Nope, I can merge those together. Circle. This is working out. Okay, let's just, yeah. So let's just keep on with this. Checking the shit. Yeah. So the way it works is you've got 6 ability scores, just like you expect in D&D. They're grouped differently. There's power. A character has power, which is represented by physical strength and their charisma. A character has skill, which is represented by their dexterity and their intelligence. And a character has endurance, maybe we'll call it grit. I'm still working on a proper title, but it's or resilience perhaps. It's wisdom and constitution. So there's a mental and a physical stat with each of these aspects. So we're calling them aspects. So there's 3 aspects. And hold on, I'm having a distaste. One second. I'm just noticing a disparage in the line weight for the stuff that's in the innermost circle here. Where's that center circle coming from? There we go. Right, that's supposed to be absent. I'm just noticing there's line weight difference between the lines I've been filling in and the lines that are already in the innermost ring that I am currently fritzing on. I'm using 1 pixel currently. Let's go to 2, and let's see what 2 does. Okay, it was clearly 2. So I got to erase these real quick. Yeah, so there's 3 aspects, which is might, skill, and let's just call it grit. And so a character can be, so you have like your standard stat array. The array that I use is 16, 14, 12, 10, 8, which translates into a +3, +2, +1, 0, -1, -2 array of bonuses to each stat roll. So you arrange your stats in any order that you want, but when you make a check, you aren't making an individual strength check or a dexterity check or a constitution check. What you're actually doing is you're making an aspect check. So you're checking your might, you're checking your skill, you're checking your grit. And so whenever you take an action, you're going to choose one aspect to represent the ability of the check that you're trying to make. So, like if I want to climb a wall, I could either use my my might to just muscle my way up. My force of will gets me up the wall. Instead, I could use my skill and knowledge in climbing to expertly and safely climb up the cliff, or I could use my grit and just force myself to not stop moving and get up the side of the cliff out of just sheer determination. So there's like these three different narratives that you can run with to move yourself up the side, doing any task that you want. And if you want to attack somebody, you could use your sharpshooting skills to shoot them. You could use your resilience to hold a steady aim while you shoot at them, or you could use your raw power of just sheer will of overpowering the horror of taking another life and necessity. So you use your power. So what you do then is, since you select the aspect that you want to use to represent the skill check that you're the ability check that you're making, you'll use the best of both. So like when you're just making a power check, whichever is better, your strength or your charisma, is the one that you can use. You could choose, like if your strength is like a -2 and your charisma is a +3, whenever you're using power to perform a task, you could roll a +3 with it, unless you just choose to self-nerf yourself and use your strength instead, which is completely up to the player. But by basic rules, you can use whichever is a higher stat in your aspect. So you kind of want to split up your stats to have, since you only have a +3, +2, +1, 0, -1, -2. You could have at best a +2, a +3, +2, +1 in each of the aspects assigned to either like strength or charisma for your power, and dexterity or intelligence. It's like one of them is going to be really good and one of them is going to be really bad in comparison, right? Or you could have like -1 and 0 in your fortitude, a -2 and a +3 in your might, and then like your skills like a -1, +2. So your stat line would then be +1, +2, +3 are the variables that you have for all of those. But whenever you're taking an action, whenever you're choosing to take an action, you pick which aspect you want to use and roll the die and add the bonus accordingly, looking to hit a target number. While you're building your character, you choose which aspect of your character are you proficient with. So, like if I choose to be a character that's proficient with might, then I'll add my proficiency bonus, which is +2 to +6, like normal D&D from 1 to 5. You'll put that proficiency bonus in whichever aspect you want, so you'll always be able to roll with proficiency. Like if I decide to put my proficiency in power, then if I had like +3, -2 in strength and charisma, then I would have a +5 on my die roll whenever I'm doing something active. Now, what happens is the DM makes you make passive checks. Like if I attack you, like in 4th edition D&D, you have to make. I'm going to attack either your physical. I'm either going to attack your physical power, or I'm going to attack your spirit. And spirit is your intelligence, wisdom, and charisma, while physical is your strength, dexterity, and constitution. So if I demand a spirit check, normally this is to prevent damage. Like I'm going to deal psychic damage to you. Give me a spirit defense roll. So you'll make that roll, and if you beat the number that I assigned to the attack value, you'll take no damage. If you fail the die roll, you'll take psychic damage equals to X amount of hit points. Here's the real kicker. You can only use each aspect once, and but once you've used all 3 aspects, you can reset your character. So when you take one action, you could choose skill, and you can't use your dexterity, your intelligence, or your skill aspect anymore. And so the next time you choose to take an action, you could choose to roll might, which would use your strength and charisma and your might roll, and now you can't use that again. And then so the third action that you take is going to use whatever aspect is left. Like if you used up your skill and your power, you're left with your resilience or your grit. So that then becomes your die roll. So when you want to perform a task, you look at what aspects are available currently in your character, because you typically can't use the same thing more than once until you go through all three. Once you've used all three aspects, they reset and you can use them all again. And then the final kicker here is 5 has a D10 plus 6 has a D12. So once per rotation, you can use effort. So like maybe I want to shoot somebody and I have skill left and my skill is only a +1. I'm not proficient in skill, so all I get is a D20 +1 to make my attack roll. But if I haven't used my effort yet and I'm, say, 3rd rank, I could then roll a D8 on top of it. So I could have a D20 +1 +8. Or if it's like my really good skill, my really good aspect, say I have a +3, then I have a D20 +3. I'm proficient with another +3. With 3rd rank it'd be a +4. So I'd have D20 +3 +4 for being proficient, and then a D8 on top of it for effort. So I could have a +7 plus D8. So there's wild swing that happens inside of the amount of dice. Like occasionally you can roll incredibly well, but most of the time you're rolling like shit. so here's the final kicker that makes it more random is whenever the DM calls for a defense check, you take that aspect out of rotation. So you have 3 aspects. You have power, you have strength, and you have resilience. If you use your resilience to take an action and you now have only skill and power left, if the DM then makes you make a body defense check, since you already used, I think in this example it said if you already used your skill, then dexterity isn't available. You'd have to choose between your strength and your constitution. So if your strength is +3 and you're proficient in might, then you'll roll +3, and in the 3rd rank example, another +5, another +4. If you have your effort left, you can use that if you want to, but if you've already used your effort during this rotation, it's not available. So you're having to pick and choose which aspect you want to use when you want to be proactive. And every time the DM does something to you, you have to use one of your aspects that hasn't been spent yet to defend yourself. So you can't plan and choose, like, I'm going to hold off on using this aspect until later because I think I want to do this thing. But if you get hit a few times and you're using die rolls, you may find that aspect becomes unavailable to you. So you can attempt to time things, but you don't know what the world is going to do to you to shake it up. So you never can tell. You'll never know for sure what bonus are you going to get to your die roll. And the die rolls, it's the difficulty of dice of challenges. Anytime you make an ability check, the scale is going to be the DC is going to be anywhere from a difficulty of 1 to 10. And so the die roll that you need is the difficulty times 3 plus 1. So on a scale of 1 to 10, a 1 is you have to roll a 1 times 3 plus 1 is a 4. So you'd have to roll, like a natural 1 is not necessarily automatically a failure, though D20s and if you roll a natural 20 or roll a natural 1, we tend to spice up what the result of that is going to result in. But if you roll a natural 1 and you have a +3 in whatever it is that you're rolling with, then you're going to at least roll a 1 on a scale of 1 to 10. So the DM sets what the difficulty is. And like at first level, like brand new characters are going to be dealing with threats like scaling from like a threat from 2 to 5. So you're going to have basically, you're going to have a stat range that you have to roll a DC of basically 7 to 16. It's a pretty small window, but when your range is going to be anywhere from a potential -3, at first level it could be anywhere from -3 to +9. So you've -3 to +9 on a d20. So you could roll anywhere from a 17 to a 29, and the results that you need at first rank, at first level of play, is going to be ranging from 7 to 16. So you can see how that 16, if you're rolling a -3, that 16 is going to be almost impossible to hit. Meanwhile, if you only have a skill, like a target of 7, and you're rolling a +9, you're guaranteed to succeed at that task. So the DM is generally going to set things somewhere like in the middle pocket of that. Like instead of being 7 to 16, it would probably be more like 10 to 16, or it's like 10, 13, and 16, like on a range of like easy, moderate, and difficult. It'd be essentially a 10, 13, or a 16 that you would need to roll. And as your characters gain levels, it'll rank up. So a 10 out of 10 in difficulty is a 31. But a 5th ranked character would have a potential, say, +3, proficiency bonus of +6, and you're rolling a d12. So +3 +6 is 9, plus d12, you could max out at a +21 on top of the d20. Could be a total of 41 that you could potentially roll. And and the highest that you would roll on the scale of 1 to 10 would be 31. So your characters could average like a 31, 28, or 25. But that 25, if your character has like a -3 d20, you'll never get a 25. So you want to open up the range. 31, say 25, and 19. So 31, 25, 22, 19. Yeah. So like that'd be your basic high-end range. With effort, proficiency, and a little luck, these high-ranked characters will occasionally automatically fail a roll of 19, but will be able to typically get somewhere between a 25 and a 31. Isn't unrealistic, but we have to keep playtesting this to see if that actually works out. But so far, the campaign, we're only on I think like the 14th episode right now, and no, it's the 12th. This week was the 12th week with the game, and so far it's working out great. It's very fluid. It's very yes and like despite like if the characters say they want to do something, the die roll is sometimes did you succeed or not, but more often or not it's you'll automatically succeed. The die roll is to see how many consequences occur as a result of what it is that you do. So like you could attempt to shoot somebody, and if you fail the die roll, you won't do any damage to them, but they could in fact in turn damage you instead. Like if your target number is a 16 and you rolled an 8, for example, that's less than 10, 16, so that's a failure of 3 degrees. 7, there's 7, 10, 13, 16. So between 7 and 10 is where you landed at. So you failed by 3. So you could in turn, like attempting to attack that creature, you failed, and in turn you yourself take 3 damage as a response to them retaliating against your attempted attack. So the DM doesn't have any reactions in the game. The reactions happen when you fail your check. If you attempt to target somebody with something and you fail the targeting attack, then you could be affected by them instead. The other thing that can happen is a complication. So you'll either take damage or you'll have a complication. So like if you attempt to shoot somebody and you take your shot and you fail the die roll, you miss them, and now you have them calling for guards or like calling for help, and now mooks show up, and that you failed that die roll by 3. Well, that becomes a level 3 challenge that you've just added to the board. 3 times 3 is 9 plus 1. So now you have a threat that requires a DC roll of 10 to resolve on top of the threat DC 16. So they basically just added a mob. Or like you miss your shot and it causes the airlock to decompress. So now people are being pulled out of the ship into the void of space, and to now everyone has to make a body check against DC 10 or be pulled out towards to be pulled to the blown out airlock. So anyone that fails their check will automatically move their character to the edge of the airlock, and so they'll have the opportunity on their turn. They can take any action that they want, but if they don't secure themselves from being pulled out of the airlock, they'll have to make another body check next round, and anyone that fails will actually be pulled out into space, and you'll have to figure out a way to get back in before you suffer from decompression and die. So like you can the DM sets the difficulty of the task using a general range that's going to be realistic and fair to the level of the characters to denote the scale of adventure that they're operating inside of. And basically the DM just has to call balls and strikes, and every time you have a strike, you're potentially taking damage or you're creating additional complications. And in that sense, you're just constantly feeding out new things that are happening. Like you're attempting to climb a cliff and you slip, but you catch yourself and you fell behind. And now you've attracted the attention of giant eagles that apparently feel threatened that you're there. So now they swarm in to attack you while you're hanging on the side of the cliff. They're clawing at you and trying to cut you free from the side of the cliff, make you fall. So you're attempting to hold on while continuing to climb and taking swings or shots at these eagles that are harassing you. So you've got the climbing you have to do, you have hanging on and taking damage from them attacking you, and you have to retaliate to drive them away or kill them so that they can't hurt you anymore or try to knock you off of the side of the cliff. Say during that you take some damage, you kill some eagles, you get to the top of the cliff, and so that's when, like, maybe you catch sight. Yeah, there's some eagle nests up there. No wonder they're so pissed off at me. So that resolves why they were angry. But now you notice, oh crap, there's actually a giant snake here that put that are putting the eagles on edge, because that giant snake is going to attempt to eat its eggs. So now the snake views you as a potential threat. So as you clear the side of the cliff, you get attacked by a giant snake. And now you have to deal with that, and if you fail, you could fall off the side of the cliff, or it could poison you. If you get any closer to the nest, the hawks will attack you. If you try to run away, you don't have anywhere to go, so you get trapped between the snake and the hawks. So you have to make a decision about where you're going to move, and who you're going to eliminate, and who are you pissing off. And every time you fail a die roll, something's going to come in and punish you for that. And then the DM has a world's turn. So the players have each of their actions, and each person takes an action. And then it moves on to the next person. So you can do one thing per turn during a round. And then the whole world takes one turn. That either causes one character, a couple characters, or all the characters to make some sort of a defense check, body or spirit, to respond to the world. And depending on what the narrative is how the world will respond. Like, you've got the snake and you got this eagle thing going on, so the eagles could attack, the snakes could attack, the eagles and snakes could both attack, or like something new could happen, like there's a rock slide that you have to deal with now. So not only you're trying to dodge the snake and hawks, but now there's falling boulders that you have to worry about. So it just keeps escalating and causing more and more problems for you. And as you clear out threats, you can create new ones. And these threats can follow you or lead you to new locations and new encounter areas as you attempt to run or chase after different threats, or attempt to find shelter from an environmental hazard that you've uncovered. So it remains incredibly fluid and dynamic. For DM notes, generally what I'm doing is I'm just brainstorming different obstacles and challenges and complications that can arise in the area that they're in. Like in this cliff face scenario, these are some of the things that the team could have to face among the cliffs. So like once I have a stack of like 4, 5, 7 different things that could potentially happen to the characters while they're mucking around here, anytime they fail a die roll, I could look at one of these potential interactions, or once they finish all their turns and it's the world's turn, I could look at what are all these things that are going on in the area that right now, and what could I hit them with that'll increase the difficulty or ratchet up the tension in the adventure. Sometimes it's not like for example, the asteroid that they're mining currently, it's in a spinning orbit, so occasionally it rolls over, which causes the gravity to shift inside of the chamber. So sometimes, like if I'm going to do a gravity shift, there might be things that are attacking the characters, but one of the world turns that'll happen is they can sense the gravity starting to shift, which tells them that next round the gravity will completely roll over and their floor is going to become a wall or a ceiling. So they'll take falling damage of some sort if they don't take actions to secure themselves right now. So they'll have to spend their next action, like the world is warning them that your environment's about to change. So next turn, they're going to have to move themselves to a place where they're secure, or they're going to have to take an action to secure themselves. Otherwise, when the world turns again, anyone that's not secure will take falling damage, potentially be hit by objects and stuff. That's just one of the hazards that has been established. Like that was just like one of the random things. Like, what's something that could happen while they're fucking around inside of an asteroid fighting monsters? Well, the asteroid could roll over and scuttle everybody's gravity. It's like, great, that's a great challenge to have. So we introduced, we added that, and so far it's great. It gives basically the team a free turn to not get more shit from the world, but they know next turn is going to really suck. So they have like a moment of reprieve that then escalates into something bigger. And every time you're creating a new challenge, you can start off with that world turning event that's going, like, so that they understand right up front what the tell is. So like they won't know, like they'll get a foreshadow of what the risk is, and if they don't, as a players, don't guess what that foreshadowing means, they'll get hit with that effect. Like the second turn they're in the place, they get hit by this world effect, and now they know off the cuff that occasionally, when they see this warning trigger come up, this is the consequence in the next round, so they can prepare for it. And you can build these different things into each scenario or each dungeon or adventure that you build. That's the idea. So far, it's working great. We're still figuring out resources, accumulating gear. I've got some basic resource management ideas about that. But next week should be the end of our second adventure. And then we'll do they're episodic. Like every 4 or 5 weeks, we switch to another adventure. So they'll be finishing the next one this week, next week on Wednesday because of the holiday. We'll play on Wednesday instead of Monday. And I need to put a peek in here. Boop, there it is. But I'm going to playtest the hell out of it for a while with my team, and if it remains being fun, we'll stick with it for the year, and at the end, hopefully by the end of the year, we'll have advanced through the ranks enough to get a good feel for what's a fair rank. There's only 5 ranks, right? 1 through 5, corresponding with their proficiency in their effort dice: D4, D6, D8, D10, D12, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 12. And then a proficiency bonus of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So once they get to 5th rank, they're basically like 20th level characters, effectively. So the goal is to scale the team up to that high rank. And if it goes well with them, then I'll start doing Saturday playtests to basically just build out this game and to fuck around and find out with people, running different scenarios, different types of encounters. Hey, that looks pretty good. I'm happy with this. Where are we at? 9:15 right now. We got a timer going, don't we? Got a timer going, don't we? Yeah. So we finished our roof. That's all of the layers active at the same time. Hey, congratulations to us. We did the we've completed the structural illustration. So bump bump bump. I'm gonna fill those all in there, and I can still hear myself a little bit in the background, but I think I'm okay with it. So roof, I'm just gonna leave that like that right now. And let's see, come back here. Huh, I bet I can instead just duplicate this. Free transform. Warp. Like that. There we go. Merge down. I want to put this on a separate layer here. So I'm really excited about that. This little game that we built is working really well. It's incredibly narrative and inspiration based. Like it's very improvised. So it's kind of it's a I guess you could say more of an expert level sort of. What am I trying to say? It's like you have to be really comfortable improvising as a DM to be able to run this game, because it relies so much on improvisation and going with the flow and being being used to being both an ally and an arbiter for your table. So it requires a lot of experience and proficiency, or just a lot of natural intuitiveness of how to run a table to be able to run that game correctly. So it's like not an entry level game, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So this level is okay. We built the door, that's secure. Dropping back down into here. That's secret door, open door. here and here. There, opens inward, secret path. Of course, you open this up, you can lock this door and then head up to the ship and escape. I think I'm just going to leave this open. For now, I think I'm content with leaving that open. Where are we at here? Bump, 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 bump. There. I'm sussing whether I want to mess around with this here to show the ladder. I mean, nah, I can just leave this be. That's good. So this layer is good. Huzzah! How about here? How are we doing in here? Yeah, this has everything that we need in here already. The space is good. There's supposed to be an underside here, so let's do that. We'll go with 50%. I am really, really happy with this. This is very, very promising. This is actually a pretty simple structure. What else? We also have in future episodes, we're going to do the Elven Monarch. We're going to do a Dwarven Citadel. We're going to build a Lithid Dreadnought. Neogi Mind Spiders, Ogre Mammoth. Is there anything else? I also want to do a Kuatoa Catfish. And any other massive ships I have in mind? Technically nothing in for right now. I'm not going to... the actual Spelljammer itself is like 3 miles wide, 1 mile long. which would occupy a 3x3 space at the 1 mile scale or a 30x30 space at the 500-foot scale. So that's a 30x30 space at the this is a 10x10 space at the 50-foot scale. So a 3x3, a 30x30 would be 3 times the width and 3 times the height of this. That's all, and that would be at the 50-foot scale that we, or Jesus, at the 500-foot scale that we'd be doing that. So that is absolutely massive. At best, I could do cartography for it, like one of the assets that's included in Lazaraxis is the expanded scale map of the Citadel of Light in a 10x10 space at the 500-foot square. So let me go fetch that. No, that's not it. Creatures, cover. Here we go. Production. BTT assets. Lazaraxis. There you go. So this is a 1 mile scale. Each of these squares is 500 feet. This is the Citadel of Light. So this is a 500-foot space here. Here's a trebuchet tower. Here's a trebuchet tower. Lots of trebuchet towers. The actual Temple of Light itself. But yeah, this would be the level of deep. Now imagine this twice as high, like a 6x6 space of this, right? Or 3 squares wide and 2 squares tall, like filling a 30 by 20 square space, and each of the squares being this 500-foot scale. So you can see, like, these are buildings, like city buildings, that are populating the top of this, and then we have on the lower half as well, for those that haven't seen it. The bottom half, which is underside. So here's the underside that corresponds to the top side, right? It's all forest down there, which provides all the air needed for all the 6,000 some odd citizens that are topside get fed oxygen by all this forestry underneath it. There's also like fruits and nuts and stuff like that agriculturalists can go down and harvest to feed the population up top. So wild boar, rabbits, birds, stuff like that. There's game in here as well. So, but anyway, these are assets that are included with the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration supplement that we have. There's like 120 different maps, assets, and tokens like that. But that's the kind of scale that we would be looking at to map the actual Spelljammer ship, which is ridiculous. But it's something that I could do. It would take me 9 months to do it, but I could do it. So maybe after I get done with all the other mega ships, I'll get around to doing the actual Spelljammer itself. No promises, but I can at least build it out at the 500-foot scale vaguely, so that it's available for people to use. You know what? I think I want to take this out of the pit. So far, so good. Just filling that all in. Do. Martial Powers playtest happens on. Well, this Saturday is the last guaranteed Saturday. I'm gonna put up another poll tonight, asking people what their preference is, like who is interested in participating on Saturday versus who's interested in moving the playtest to another day of the week. And whichever date is most popular is when we'll move the playtest to. And I believe this weekend I'm expecting this weekend to be the last week that the current sortie is running under. The team is attempting currently to get a crystal off the face of a angler, off of a huge-sized anglerfish that wants to eat the players when it sees them. So they need to get the crystal off of its dinglebaub so that they can give it to the Sphinx that has asked for the team to fetch it. It's the MacGuffin for the adventure currently. And so this Saturday will be the last adventure for that. It should be the last adventure for that mission because they have a plan to lure the anglerfish out of its lair so they can attack it, and then steal the gem from its face. But it has a spawn of fishy allies that attack on sight as well. So the team has a hostile environment that they're dealing with. But they've got some ideas on how to get it taken care of. So they just got to decide on which shot they want to take and then take it. But we're 4th level currently, so when once we confirm what's not this weekend but the following weekend is going to be, if the day changes and we have new crew, we'll have a new session 0 to build out the team, and then they'll choose a new tile and continue forward. If it's the same team, then we don't need to worry about the session 0 because everyone's already indoctrinated, and just move forward with the next session. And then it'll be 5th level. So we're oscillating. We're using color magic variant rules versus universal spell point rules. So we'll start the first 2 weeks using color mana, and then we switch to colorless or universal points. And so we can see what it's how the amount of mana feels with harsh limitations on how to spend your mana versus then later opening it up so it's not as restrictive, and the team has free use of their mana anywhere. I want to test them both just to make sure they both work because that's the proper thing to do. Ah. I'm gonna have to play test this soon. So far, so good. So what? All right, I hear you. Was that 9:30, almost 9:40? All right, I'm going to finish up this layer, and then we'll be done for the night. I think I have a fever. That's a revelation. Let's grab this. Free transform. Flip vertical. Not bad. March down. Not bad. All right, so that's done. So we'll come back and we'll get the rest of this done. Continuing to work our way down the deck. This the top is done. Yes. And So we'll start working on the underside. We have some furnishing and interior space to finish up. Didn't play on how do I get these sample pages? You mean the are you talking about the sample pages? The Spelljammer Combat and Exploration on DMsGuild is here. And so the full-size preview is here. And that opens up, it's you can see here it's 107 pages. So the full document also here it lists as 107 pages. That's including the cover and the back of it. If you buy it, you get if you buy the thing, you get all 120 assets, including all the maps, the tokens for the ships, the tokens for the NPCs, inline Zaraxis, as well as terrain like asteroids and rock tokens to be able to build out different types of map environments. As well as system maps for Realm Space, Doom Space, and Zaraxis Space. I provided point crawl or hex crawl maps for each of those as well. So those are all included in the zip file that comes with the book. Sorry, I didn't see your inquiry there. So map and token pieces, zip file, the actual book itself, PDF. And if you need a discount, you can get a 25% discount by clicking this button here. And it gives you all this stuff. All these different tokens, like ship tokens, creature tokens, NPC tokens, map tokens for different encounters we created. Combat ship sheets. You can see the little statistics sheets for each of the ships that are pre-generated, as well as all the ships are in line as Zaraxis. The battle maps for the fortress. Here's a close-up of one of the stat sheets showing all the statistics that go into building a ship, cargo limits, terrain type of the terrain types it can traverse, and its weapons. So plus the default inventory that's expected to be aboard that takes up the cargo. So, but that's the Moon Dancer, for example. There's various ships. So yeah, you can just grab that on the DMsGuild, Spelljammer Combat and Exploration, and you can find the link here in the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration link here. And the full link to all 376 episodes that we've been building the full playlist is here. So we're just going to continue hammering away at this. When we come back, we'll be back tomorrow for lunch. So when we come back for lunch tomorrow, we're just going to keep working on this. This is the thing that we're working on right now. So we will sally forth and continue to do so. Let me... yeah, that's it. I'm gonna sign out. I'll be back tomorrow morning to continue to work on the Eberron Undead Sinkhole map, and so I'll see everyone then. Thanks a lot.